Hey everyone, Derpy here, and we are live. Welcome to the Battle Pirates Inquisition raid warm-up first look at all the targets stream. First off, I have to say, no one expects the Pirate Inquisition. What I'm going to be doing here is everyone joins in chat. I'm going to be going through all the targets in this raid, hitting it with a variety of different fleets, and we have a lot of different things, including 4 new targets, which are going to be really interesting to look at, because as far as I can tell, we haven't seen any of these before at all. Welcome to everyone in chat. Ice DS and Lady Cat, thank you for the good luck. I hope I don't need good luck. I hope this raid turns out to be nice like the last couple. Anyway, lower level targets, we have the C set using the Dragoons and the lower set there, moving up to the Pegasus fleet in the B set, and then up to the Punisher MK2 in the A set, and then the S set is the Zealot fleet. These are going to be the bread and butter fleet for most of you this raid likely. And then the X set is going to include the S set, add an additional 508 target, and also have a new 600 target using the Punishers from last raid. So let's get started with the lowest target in here as everyone joins in and populates here using my Dragoons. We have probably seen these things before, but it's always good to get a reminder of these targets. Okay. Have they spawned yet on the map? I am in alpha, so no one's seen these yet before. I'm having to run Flash because HTML5 was being a little bit slow for me, so if you notice slightly reduced frame rates, it's because my computer is doing about 18 different things at once right now, likely. Okay, let's find a level 40 here. Yep, Terry, the preview is all what this is about. It's showing you what you're going to be hitting. I'll show you the mistakes so that you don't have to make them, is the general line of thinking here. My fleet is overpowered for this battle? No, it's not. Why are you telling me my fleet's overpowered? Or is it because my base is overpowered and I have a hit down multiplier using that? You can see that the C sets, I'm going to be using the 40-42 Dragoons. That's what I have here. Looks like I'm going to get a hit down multiplier for attacking this target because my base level, my player level is overpowered, not my fleet level. So I may not get full payouts from the actual dealing damage to the target. I should still get the same exact target as everyone else, and I should still get the payout from the set bonus. Okay, so this target we have seen before. Actually, hold on, I need to turn on some building effects, including ship pads. Otherwise, this is going to bother me a lot here. Okay, much better. So what we have here is you can auto this target if you want to. There's no launcher, there's no crazy flamethrowers or anything like that. What you're going to do in the level 40 target is bring your Dragoons into the middle of the target after you maybe go around and clear the outside buildings here. Stack them all up, and you can drive stack the entire time. One of your ships, I believe it's ship number 5, although it might have shifted to ship number 2, will get focused. And you're going to target the UAVs, shift-click the UAVs, and that's going to result in the least damage for this thing. You also have to keep moving so all these Tempest launchers don't do as much damage to your fleet here. And it's a sort of simple one to go through. We've seen it before in Pillage, although I'm not sure how much lower levels could actually get through this thing. There we go, first run. I think it might even have been tuned down because I got all the turrets really easily. That or my fleet got better. And here we go. Just running through this, shift-clicking the UAV turrets and staying moving so you avoid all the damage from the launchers. And yes, raid does start in 4 hours for the last couple sectors. I am, again, in alpha, so I'm getting the earliest possible video of this stuff and earliest possible mechanics of these targets. So after I sail through the center of the target, I'm going around to the right side, hitting everything there, and it's going to be a really quick target to go through. Not a lot of stuff to stop you or slow you down here. Stacking was an issue in Flash. I'm currently running Flash. As you can see, it's no longer that much of an issue. They did fix it after a maintenance last night, from what I believe. Maybe if the stacking isn't working 100% perfectly great all the time, if it ends up being bad, I'll probably have to switch over to HTML5. But as you can see here, the Dragoons are just coming unstacked because it seems like they're a fast fleet, although it does seem like there's a little bit more of an issue here than there usually is. So again, in this target, I'm just trying to stay moving as best I can the whole time to avoid launcher damage, and then shift targeting the UAVs if I am in range of those and can hit those. You notice I'm taking the same path I've always taken in this thing, and this is not a new target. We'll see if I end up getting a raid video out for this one, just for lower level players, if that helps people. And I'll definitely be releasing videos throughout the raid as we go out. One of my ships is a bit of ahead of the others here, and it shouldn't be. They all have the same combat speed. They all have sync drives on them. It does appear stacking is a slight issue. Okay, this target's looking like it's really, really nice to complete. No major changes. If anything, I feel like it's been tuned down, but I don't have a lot of hard evidence to support that theory, if that makes sense there. Okay, target number 1 is down. That should have paid out 5,000 points for dealing damage, but let's see how much I actually got because I'm a higher level player, even though I'm still using the same fleet. Okay, damage taken appears to be ballistic, radioactive, perfectly normal as expected. I've got reduced set payouts because it looks like I got half of it. I like this UI model. It tells you what's being reduced by. That's good. As I go back to my base, I'll show you my build and talk about my thoughts on this target. I'm going to try and talk about thoughts on target after every single one of them, including it up to the new 600, 508, and the 112, 111 targets. Thoughts on this target, it's a really easy one. We've had it before, seen it before. I'm not quite sure how lower levels would find it. They wouldn't be able to do it as easily as I did. Here's my build here that I'm showing you. And while lower levels may not be able to do it that easily, it is still definitely possible for them to do and possible to get very, very low repair. You could probably auto this as a mid to higher level player. You wouldn't get that great of results though, which is what I'd be worried about. As you can see, I took 5 minutes damage, 6 minutes damage driving, which is instant repair in base, no crew. I'm sure that will come down. You can easily get an instant repair on map, but why would you want to? There's going to be much better things to hit in terms of payouts later on. That's the first target done, and let's go find the next one, the 42 target. That's going to be the second half of the set here, and I wonder where these things are spawning. Oh well, let's go into the locator. Tier C, 42, this will be the last one for the 42, then we can move on to our War Pegasus fleet. This should again pay out, is also going to have reduced payout, I assume half the points, and it's going to get you 2,500 points, and then a total set bonus with the level 40, which I already hit, of 10,000 points for both of them. Okay, this one is the target that has a lot of big launchers in here. These things are going to spit out fire as soon as I enter the battle. So when I do, I'm going to move off to the right a little bit, wait till those things fire. As soon as they do and they're done firing, I can charge through and follow the same path. You want to start initially going down to the right of this target here. If you can shift click any buildings that you pass, that's great. If not, that's perfectly normal too. Looks like my fleet did come unstacked there, but that was on me for my driving. Wasn't anything special about that. I'm going to sneak around the back of this flamethrower turret here, move around the back of the target. You cannot do this one on an auto, or you will take massive damage and maybe lose your fleet depending on how exactly this is tuned for the higher level players in here, or how it's tuned for the lower level players if they reduce the damage at all. Interestingly, you can go through this spot right here, which I don't remember that being in the actual target. Maybe it was just it wasn't displaying properly for me there. But I'm not going to go through that. I'm going around the back, closer to these turrets here so I can kill those. Once those are dead, I'm going to loop around all the way to the back of this target, targeting the turrets if possible as a priority, and then killing all these random extra buildings. Nothing can hurt me or reach me over here, so I'm fine. Great. Okay, so that's the main bit. Half this target is down here, you can see in the health bar. And let's move on to the next bit where you have to run through this entire maze. I'm going to have to try and time it a little bit and move through the main portion just after the flamethrowers have fired. So if I went right now, I'd get hit in the middle of those flamethrowers by the time I went through. So I'm going to park just in range of this one turret, and the next time these flamethrowers kick on, I'm going to start moving. Perfect. And I'll be able to get through. It would have been best if I had stayed moving so I wouldn't deaccelerate here. It would have been best if I stayed moving to avoid the damage, but it worked perfectly fine. This is not a very difficult target to hit, at least for me who's seen it before. I'm not quite sure who a lower level who's their first time seeing it, how they would experience these things, if they would lose their whole fleet to the flamethrowers and then get disappointed. But it is what it is. I guess that's why we're doing these videos, so players can see how to do these targets. Again, reminder to keep moving if possible to avoid damage from the launchers because they're dumbfire. Okay, I'm not going to charge into this main group of turret clusters just yet. In fact, I'm going to run away and move my ships further around to the outside so that I don't take any splash damage from these things. Okay, hopefully things don't start firing again. Maybe just cut the very end of my ship there, although I doubt it. And this damage should be instant repair in base, which I don't really care about because I'm not going to hit these targets too much. But great, this is good for a lower level player. Good to know. Let's see what kind of damage and battle report we got on this thing. I'm expecting very similar results. Yeah, Hefe's there commenting with Battle Pirate's Crib that stacking seems to be a mess. That may be because the Dragoons are really quick, maybe because I'm playing on Flash instead of HTML5. We'll see probably with the Pegasus, the slower ships, we'll see what kind of results we're getting from there stacking in those targets. Damage on the 42 was 9 minutes, which, whatever, that's instant repair and base. Perfectly normal, great hit, I would say here. And you can see the C-set bonus is just now popping up. Let's load up the Pegasus fleet and start the repair on Dragoons, so I can do that in the back. And go hit the next B-set targets, which I believe are the 60 and 62. Stacking did appear to be, like I said, a little bit messy for the Dragoons because they're so quick, but maybe it's not quite as bad as everything else. I think that's probably because the in-game macro is fairly slow in terms of bouncing between different ships. Okay, C-set target here, and that's the 60 and 62. Perfect. Looks like it's actually taking me to a really close target. These are the Chimera's Nest Assault targets. We've seen them before somewhere. I have not tried the Zealot targets yet. I will be working my way up from the bottom to the top, so Zealot targets will be closer towards the end of the stream. But I will definitely be hitting those things, and those are the main ones that most people want to see, so I'm going to make sure I get to that. Okay, here's this Legion target, level 60. We've definitely seen this thing before, and yeah, look, I'm going to zoom in right here on my Pegasus ships. If I click move, you can see that they come unstacked. It definitely is a mess right now in Flash. So we're probably going to have to reload and try to put HTML5 back up so I can play in that one at least for the higher targets and get the best possible results in terms of damage on that. So in terms of this target right here, I killed that first turret cluster, and then I'm going to have to, oh yeah, stacking really is a mess. I'm going to try to drive with my one War Pegasus out as a tank in front of everything else so it takes all the splash damage. And you could just stop it if you wanted to right here, move your Pegasus out a little bit further maybe, and then just let all the ships come at you and charge at you right here as you're stopped. But I'm going to try and do my best to drive and reduce damage normally. Turn speed does seem to be very poor with these ships right now. I don't always remember them being quite this slow. But it does seem like I'm doing a little bit better in this target than I was when it was in Pillage, and there's half repair on top of that. I don't know if I'm imagining that, or if the damage has actually been tuned down because lower level players will be hitting this thing, which I would think is a good thing, and everyone would agree is a good thing. If it actually has happened. I'm not saying it has either way. And most of this damage here that my War Pegasus right now is taking is corrosive damage, so if you have your setup with more corrosive survival, it will do better in this particular target. Yeah, they are really slow, and the turn speed is just, on my Pegasus, is just not working very well. I don't remember them being quite as bad as Heavy's experience is with them, but there we go. That's all the ships down on this target. Everything left now is the buildings. To do the buildings, I'm going to drive with my War Pegasus as a tank slightly in front of everything else, and that's all you need to do. I'm going to start in these first 3 turrets here and be able to kill those fairly quickly here. I'm just going to stay stacked up pretty much, although it's really difficult to do with my War Pegasus tank slightly out ahead because it's built with some evade and more missile survival on these. So if that one gets targeted by all of these missile turrets, I'm going to be able to do it slightly easier. The second turret cluster is about to go down here. If you can turn your ship sideways and rotate so your starboard or port side desolation wings, your corrosive guns come on here, and you're able to fire off a couple volleys at these things, then you'll be able to, again, save some damage here and be able to kill these things slightly quicker. Although you do want to make sure you're not rushing 2 different turret clusters at one time. I have to wait till this one right here is dead before going into the next one. And okay, we have 1, 2, 3 turret clusters all left on the bottom of the target. You could charge in right in the middle if you wanted to now, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I stay my ships all in range and only engage 1 cluster at a time, and try to pick off turrets instead of the random other buildings in here. Again, turning sideways so that my heavy scattergun corrosive launcher does help against this target. Well, it looks like we're almost done here, and they do seem really, really slow today, and not quite sure why. Coming around to the back end of the target, you can see in these first couple things, I'm not using any crews. There's no point to using them for anything this slow. It's just things that I'd be testing. ABHam is asking in chat how many upgrade kits are required to get the Devout Zealot to X1. It's going to be 10 for 10 upgrade kits for U1, and then it should be 40, 80, 80. If I remember correctly, for upgrading the Devout Zealot. So 10 for U1, 40 for U2, 40, and then 80 for both U3 and X1. Although, if I can check when I'm not as distracted here, I can give you some updated information. Although I'm sure someone else in chat already knows. Regular Zealots do have a different upgrade kit cost than the X1. Or regular Zealots have a different upgrade cost than the Devout Zealot flagships. There we go. Hefe's putting it 10, 40, 80, 80. That's what I was saying there. Okay, damage off this target is really fairly low, maybe half an hour repair, most of it on the flagship, back 4 probably instant, with some good driving, and maybe once the lag HTML5 or lag flash issue with your ship's stacking gets fixed, it would be a little bit better repair than this anyway. I'm not going to bother repairing, but here's my build if you're interested in pausing this, slowing this down, watching it back, and looking at my build. And let's go hit the next target up here, which is level 62. While I do that, let's talk about my thoughts on this particular target. I think it's a fairly big one, it's a slow one, but it is possible to auto or semi-auto. I did think that it was a little bit punitive and it's going to exaggerate some of these issues with the flash not exactly working properly, but it was an easy target to kill, easy target to drive, no real tricks to it. Okay, here we have the next level 62, and again, we just saw this in a TLC last week. What I could do here, and what I'll show you as an example, is I'm going to start in the cloud right here, and I need to pick the right ship. I'm going to start with all my ships in the cloud. I'm going to move one out to the right outside of the cloud. What that's going to do is that's going to allow all these other random zealot and all these random scourge ships on the outside of the target. They can see this one ship that isn't in the field. Actually, I want to move my red one out of the field. And they're going to start coming towards me. Once they get close enough to me, I'm going to move this ship back in, and all my missiles are going to hit them just as they turn away, as long as you time it correctly. I'll just show you one wave of that. I don't necessarily have time to go through the whole target broken down in detail right here. So as soon as the ship is about to come in range, I'm going to move my ship back into the cloud here, and if it works well, you can see it didn't quite work perfectly there. The ships came into the cloud with me. But the idea is to do that and avoid taking damage because you're hiding in the cloud and they can't see you. So let's try and get the proper ship. I want my red one, the one with the whatever CIC that is, to move, because if that one moves, the range is actually going to be lower on this red CIC. Actually decreases the range. You can see as soon as it moves out of the way, its range goes down, everyone else's ranges goes up. So as soon as that one's moved out of the way, the ships are going to start moving towards me, and as soon as they get about in range of my ships, I'm going to poke it right back in, and I'm firing them, they're not firing at me. That's the strategy you want to use behind that. I'm not going to do it for the whole thing. Let's just finish this target out so we can hit the next ones and see the new ones. Going to try to stack back up a little bit, see if things are working a little bit better in this target. We need to be experiencing a little bit of lag here. Let's see if that corrects itself. And again, for these other random ships, if they're in the cloud, you can't see them, and if you're in the cloud, they can't see you, so be careful about that when you're doing this thing. We did see this in TLC last week, as I've probably mentioned already. I'm going to try and kill the stonefish right here first if I can, instead of the smaller viperfish. The stonefish deal more damage to you, whereas the viperfish you can generally outrun with some decent driving, kiting a little bit better than the viperfish. The viperfish are these smaller ones here, the stonefish are the larger ones underwater. It looks like we have 3 ships left here, 2 ships left, and after that's done, it's going to be smooth sailing with just the target to kill. You'll notice they have fairly low health compared to the entire they have low health compared to most of the map, so yeah, the stacking issue is really bad. So when you kill the ships, you probably just get a minimal amount of points. It's probably not worth it to hit the ships and retreat and find a new target like some people used to do way back when. When you're engaging the turret clusters here, make sure that, again, you're trying to engage as few turrets at one time as possible to take the least damage. And you can't really do that all the time because there are on this island here and then everything clusters up. But if you can reduce damage, try and do that. Again, you also have to keep moving in this target because of these missiles firing in these red firing arcs you see. Those are called the fog cutter missiles, and they'll fire whenever you're in there, and they will cut through the fog and can see you in the clouds is why they're named that. Looks like we're almost at halfway dead here for this target, which is really nice. If you do have zealots, you can probably also use them in here. If you have 1 or 2, 3 zealots built and you can't quite do the top targets, you may be able to do this one with them if you're allowed to bring them in and hit these targets with them, which I'm not quite sure about. Also notice I did not get a warning before I hit this target. I was going to get reduced points, and I did not get reduced points when I hit the other level 60 target, complementary target in this set. Both of these targets pay out 25,000 points, and would probably with a set bonus of 50,000. Make sure you get all the random junk buildings on the outside here, all the trash buildings, because otherwise you're going to have to come back and hit those in the target. Let's take a closer look at the ship stacking issue again in this target with the slow Pegasus fleet. I'm going to stack them up here. They're all stacked, selecting all of them. I'm going to click somewhere else and move, and they unstack just a little bit, which is really frustrating. Then if I move somewhere else, they sometimes get a little bit worse, sometimes might get a little bit better. I can't quite tell. But I would expect that this is going to be, I would hope this is going to be fixed later. Otherwise, it's going to be really frustrating and hard to drive for any players using Flash. Now, I am on Flash, and I actually generally prefer to run HTML5, but that hasn't quite been working for me, so I'll have to refresh and load that up and see if it does work today. Because I would like to be able to show people the targets with the HTML5 proper driving, everything working properly. Since we're talking about zealot upgrades in the chat, I do have my flagship zealot is up to U2. I have 3 regular ones at U1, and then I spent some tokens to upgrade my final zealot up to X1, so you can see the drones when I get around to those targets, which will be happening very shortly. Okay, there's the end of the level 62 Legion target. Payout should be 25,000 points. Damage is probably going to be a little bit more corrosive than penetrative. Yeah, a little bit more corrosive actually taken than penetrative damage taken. Here we go. 1 hour damage based off the 29 minutes I already had, so 35 minutes there. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a, FA saying they fixed the stacking issue. I'm going to block my screen real quick and refresh and see if that changes anything. If that doesn't, then I'll have to load up HTML5. So hold on one moment. I'm still here, not going anywhere. Just gonna refresh and see if they fixed any sort of stacking issue. Were you saying they fixed that as of like very recently on Discord, or you see that announcement on forums? Oh, that was the fix? The fix was for the hit down? It was because my base level was overpowered, not my fleet level. At least that's what my understanding was. So we have refreshed. We are back. Let me show you my base again. Remove my holding image here that I was showing. And load out the next target. Let's just launch our fleet of Dragoons to the map while the Pegasus starts repairing, as well as the A-set fleet, which is the Punishers. Let's launch all of those, and I'll see if the hit down thing is still showing up there as an issue. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, you know. As Ross said, the game's always in beta testing. Let's select a level 40 target and, and click attack with Dragoons. It does not say I'm overpowered anymore, so I think that's what they fixed. Although I may still get a reduced payout. Let's just auto that one. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll auto it and see if my point payout jumps up by, see if I have 500 points in there. Okay, so there's that target here, and we have the first two sets out of the way. Let's hit the slightly more exciting ones, the A set, which with the Punisher targets. Now you notice this set is 3 different things. You need to hit all of them to get the payout. But the payout is very low, so if you just find hitting the 80s and you want to hit 180 targets for this raid, if that's easier than doing the 80s, the 82, and the 407s, go with that approach. I'm going to go show all 3 targets in one set. I sort of wish they broke it up so there were the 80s and 82s just in their own set, and you had the next target, the 408 or whatever it is, in the as part of as a different set, just another target to hit. No set bonus, no payout for that one. It just gave you just another target on map to hit. I wish they'd done that and had these separated. I think the only reason it's like this with the 407 separate, with the 407 included, is because that's how it's always been in the last couple raids. Okay, here's the level 80 target. We've actually seen this one before. If you want, you can take your Punisher flagship, and it works best if it's upgraded to X1 or something like that, and auto the entire target for very low damage with one ship. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drive through it and use a tank method like I've been doing the last couple raids here, with one Punisher, with my Atomic Punisher, which is built as a flagship, slightly ahead of everything else. Now my ships are still appearing to have that stacking issue. I can't quite tell. And what this tank method does, if you have to stay close enough to be inside this purple aura, but far enough away to avoid splash from all of these things. And what that does is all the damage in this target pretty much in this particular one targets the flagship. Evade works against it, but if it does hit, then it does splash damage. So when it does hit, because I don't have 100% evade, I have something like 60%. When it does hit, you need to make sure that it's only going to hit that one ship at the very front and not everything else. Also interesting to note in these targets, these mines right here, they don't deal any damage, so you could auto this more easily if you wanted to. And these mines don't deal any damage, they just slow you down, which is a little bit annoying, but doesn't really affect me that much. I also do have upgrades done on these Punishers, which a player who has upgrades on these things and has a couple ships up to X1, including the flag at X1, would likely be able to get the would likely already have a Zealot fleet. So if someone has a fleet without any upgrades done, that might be a more accurate or more fair assessment of this particular target. Although, like I said, you can just use one ship as a flagship and auto this thing. And this was the raid target from 2 months ago, if I remember correctly. I think it was the 100, and I'm going to assume the next 82 target is the level 102. So I didn't have to come up with new targets here. So what I've done here is I've gone around the backside of the target, trying to just engage 1 or 2 different defenses at one time, 1 or 2 clusters at one time, try and reduce damage, reduce number of things targeting me at once. There's a couple different paths you could use in here, although it's the one I'm showing right now, and sort of just driving on autopilot works pretty well. Looks like I forgot a couple buildings up at the top of the target, so let's go hit those things. Thank you for the awesome job comment there. I've been working on my driving. Let's check the stacking issue right now with this fleet and see if there are any issues there. So they're all stacked up perfectly. Gonna click somewhere. I think they're unstacking. Yeah, they're doing circles. They're not driving as one ship. I wonder how that's going to impact our builds for the Zealots, which will be coming up really shortly. There's that target. Looks like it's going to be close to instant repair in base. Maybe instant repair on map. And like I said, if you want another option for driving this target, or not driving rather, just use your Punisher Mark II flagship, hopefully upgraded to U2, U3, X1. Damage taken was a little bit more radioactive than ballistic, and 9 minutes damage. Here's the build I'm showing you here. I do have 2 ships at X2, 1 at U3, and then 2 at U2 in this thing. You can slow that down and watch this if you want to later, and note that I do have a build video on that thing. So let's check and see if we still got that hit down multiplier from hitting the 40 set. If my points ended in a 5, it means I did get the hit down multiplier. I did not. So I got the full 5,000 points for the Dragoons against this one. So maybe I need to submit a support ticket and get 5,000 points back that I was taken out of. I'm joking on that one, by the way. Okay, next up is going to be, after this loading screen happens, I'm going to repair my ships real quick, go back in for the 82 target. And again, we have 9 minutes of damage on my Punisher Mark IIs. Most of it's probably on the flagship, but it's probably just enough to have instant repair. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to be able to instant repair 3 ships at once and then the next 2 right after that. And I wish I could just, edit out all this repairing stuff, but that's what a live stream is, right? You're just seeing everything. 5 minutes and 9 seconds. I didn't do my thoughts on this target. Well, let's go ahead and do them now. Thoughts are positive. I really like that particular target, especially if it's really simple to drive. The mines don't damage you. It's a really nice one to be having in this raid and to be hitting there. So I'm a big fan of the level 80 target, and the fact you can do it with just a flagship is an extra bonus. Tobias is asking 1 flag and 2 puns. You have them at U0 or what? They'll probably do okay. I did my first raid with those particular targets. If you want to go back about 2 months or on my channel, I did that particular raid with 3 different ships, or I actually had 5 ships all underweight. So I still had a 20,000 dock weight. You'll definitely be able to do the 80 and 82 targets. The 407 might be a little bit of a reach, but you'll definitely be able to do them, especially if you have a decent build or maybe a little bit of upgrades. But again, those are optional-ish. So the 82 target we've seen before, again, as the 102 in that particular raid, and as well as the VXP target for the siege cycle. Okay, again, I'm just using the tank method here, driving 1 ship, my flagship, slightly ahead of everything else, and that's going to reduce the damage I've been taking from damage in here. Because again, all this stuff, when it hits my flagship, the closest one, it will, when it hits the flagship, it only does splash damage to the flagship and not everything else. You're saying the Kixeye Punisher fleet? I'm not aware that I didn't know that they gave one out, so I'm not quite sure what the build is on that one. It's probably decent, probably similar enough to mine and the one that most of us are using that it will be manageable. Okay, so it looks like I'm having a little bit of lag. But the main idea for this target is, again, try and keep most things firing on 1 ship and also stay moving, because as you can see, there are some very large flamethrowers coming in and shooting at me in this target. So you have to be wary about those things. And the mines in this one do also deal damage, so I'm having to do a little bit tricky driving here to try and, there we go, to try and avoid taking damage from the fire fields, or the radioactive thrower fields, radioactive launchers. This is definitely a trickier target than level 80, so I'd probably, if you're a player with only part of a fleet, probably best for you to just hit the 80 and ignore this one entirely, to be honest. I'm also getting some lag here, so I'm going to run all away, let all those fires die out, and again, bring my flagship in as a tank, try and keep it in the purple aura if possible, and kill everything here. Okay. So in 2 targets, I'll be getting my zealots out and hitting the new things. Again, having a little bit of issues killing things in the target, and these things are dead right here. This turret and this building are dead, but they just don't know it yet. They don't believe it. Dynamite, you were using 3 on the raid targets and doing fine. That's great. I'm glad this target's definitely doable by a partial fleet of Punishers. I think that was something that either Kixeye Half Centaur or Kixeye Robinson mentioned on Discord when I expressed my concerns about how players with level 15 dock were going to be able to do this raid. And by the way, if you still have a level 15 dock, I'd work on upgrading that thing, upgrading your outpost to upgrade that dock too. You're about 2 months behind at that point. Level 82 target is done. A little bit more radioactive damage taken, up to 14 minutes of damage. We're really breaking the bank right here. That's repair, head back to my base, and there's the build again really quickly if anyone missed it. And repair, head back to base, and talk about my thoughts on the target. This is definitely a trickier one, as you saw, than the level 80 target, so I would just ignore this one entirely, pretty much. The mines move around, there's more fire fields, the payout's the exact same, so I don't think this one's worth it, unless you can do it for, like I did, about close to instant repair. Then it's worth it if you can do it for this, but again, I have a fleet that's fully built and partially upgraded, so I would ignore this one entirely for a mid to lower level player. We have 5 seconds repair time on that last ship. You're killing me. Okay, let's go find ourselves a level 407 target. Sounds like big numbers. And after that one, we're going to get the zealots out. And again, this target 407 does pay out 150,000 points as opposed to only 100,000 for the 80 and 82. And is part of the set bonus for the A set for 100,000 points. Matthew, you out an 80 with 24 minutes damage. Was that just using the flag or all 5 ships, all 3 ships? What's the story behind that one? Because if you haven't tried only the flag, and maybe even you can upgrade it a little bit, I'd encourage you to try only the flagship. Okay, the 407 target appears to be at least visually and mechanically the same as the S set, or as the X, when this was an X target in the raid. It's going to be a little bit trickier to hit, so I'm going to move over and kill some of these turrets, try and sneak through their mines, and I hit 2 mines already, which is not a very good start. There we go. Okay, we got through that first cluster of mines. I'm going to move my flagship out ahead of everything else, again in the tanking maneuver that we've all been using. And if I do move it far enough out, I can just sort of park there and ignore the flamethrower damage. If it only hits 1 ship, it isn't that bad. But I'm going to try and stay moving in this thing. And it does look like we're still having some slight stacking issues. It doesn't appear to be that bad with the Punisher fleet. But before we go into the Zealot targets, I am going to load up HTML5 to see if that can work and I can avoid any sort of flash shenanigans with everything not stacking correctly. And I do hope that ends up being fixed or figured out by the point, at least by the end of the day. Definitely by the end of the week, because that's not really a sustainable mechanic in terms of what I would say. Okay, we have the central area of this target here. We have the central area of this target killed now. And let's look at the top bit here. Again, driving with my flagship as a tank, especially when I'm coming up towards these heavier ballistic turrets, anything like that. And the mines in this target definitely do hurt your ships also. Looks like we have a spinning boat here. Things not quite loading up. Great. Okay, so this target's looking pretty much wrecked, and I am taking a lot more damage on this thing than I did on the 80/82 targets, so that's something to know. It probably isn't really worth your time to hit this one, because your fleet's going to take some damage. So I just ignore this one too, like you would ignore the level 82 target. Damage taken, a little bit more radioactive. Got the bonus earned, which things aren't quite displaying properly. Things are not quite displaying properly. 100,000 points, 150 for the target, no hit down penalty. Damage 43 minutes for this thing, which is not very good. So let's go ahead and repair those things. And meanwhile, while I'm getting my Zealot fleet out, I'm going to have to refresh and load HTML5 to see how well that thing ends up working. So unfortunately, I don't have any elevator music to play with a standby message or anything like that, but I will be back momentarily. I'm being back with my my Zealot fleet so we can hit these new targets here. While I do that, while I refresh, let's talk about my thoughts on this target. I could sing Lady Cat. No, I just talked about my thoughts on this target. I think that like I said, 407 target is very little. It's a lot worse payouts for the points aren't good for the damage you're actually taking. So I would again just ignore that thing. Don't hit it. When it was a raid target, it was almost worth it in of itself, just sort of reduce seat time, while not being a particularly great target to hit. And definitely it was not a great target to hit when we didn't have a fully built fleet. If you didn't have a fully built fleet with 400,000 tons, it wasn't a really good one to hit. So I'm just going to say ignore it entirely. Okay, HTML5, any moment you would like to load is fine with me. And I need to get my Zealot fleet out and start hitting things. Let's see if we can we can show my loading screen there, something just a little bit more exciting. Can't be losing people when we're about to do the best targets, the new things. It's not a good idea to go away yet. You want to know how to use your new Zealots? Well, I'm about to show you as long as Kixeye lets me. As long as they don't censor me and cut my bandwidth internet connection. Okay, well, we know about the Imperator's Praetorian. We don't really need it right now. Buccaneer, useless. I don't care about the Buccaneer. I want my Zealot fleet. The Phantom Shrike? No, no one uses the Phantom Shrike. We use the Devout Zealot these days. Let's get a Nemesis X. I don't want a Nemesis X. I want a Zealot. This is the wrong assault ship. Let's go. And again, I'm loading HTML5 because it's supposed to reduce a lot of the... supposed to reduce any issues with the ships not 100% stacking correctly. Apparently that issue is localized to Flash, and they put out a small fix for it maybe, but it's still definitely not working for me. Come on. I would like to hit these targets with the proper fleet, please. Hefe, I'm trying to get you your screenshots for these new targets here, and the... Actually, it's not working. It's not letting me. Come on. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to go back to Flash Player and play with these, with issues. Which is, not ideal, but whatever. So, I'm not going to have 100% perfect runs, but at least I'll be able to hit the target and play the game. That's what I want to be able to do. Usually, if HTML5 would load if after I stayed for several times there. Yeah, it's not still loading. It's actually going to work now if I'm using Flash. George, you're in Sector 2. I'm in Sector 2. Get out of my sector. Yeah, they overloaded the servers, or so, I don't know what happened. Okay, well, here's my Zealot fleet. I'm going to be able to actually hit the targets, hit the things now. I'm going to try and use a Sea Serpent crew. I hope I have one or two left. You'll notice on the right side of my screen, I didn't 100% stock up on my on my uranium. I have 2 Sea Serpents crews this whole raid. That's going to be painful. Well, okay. Let's get out the... Let's hit the new things. Level 110, Rogue Forsaken Base. Here we go. Just right in here. George, don't come hit my base. I already had someone jump to me to do that. That'd be frustrating. But hey, no one else can jump, even if you see my cords, so only 1/5 of the player base can hit me. Oh, what is this? Oh, this looks very... stop moving. Stop moving. I need to grab a screenshot of this thing. Okay, and let's put that in a message and come on. We're gonna zoom back in to normal and hit this target, but I gotta get screenshots for the Battle Pirate's crib. Okay, now let's hit the target. So we have a Zealot fleet here, and oh, you can see my drones out here. Looks like my drone spawns when I press the S key to go on auto, and it's hitting things. It's shooting a weapon out here, and it's dying slowly because it's outside of my range. But the drone is driving around shooting things, but things aren't shooting at the drone. So I'm not really sure how useful this is. Okay, let's target the Atlas cruisers. They seem to be pretty painful. And yeah, my drone's driving around doing some damage. I'm not quite sure what its point is because it doesn't really seem to be helping. It's not doing a whole lot. Let's take some damage for me. Let's do something here. Okay, Alice Carrier's down, and we're taking some corrosive damage. This is not ideal. Taking some corrosive damage. Try and outrange these things if you can, these corrosive turrets. And here we okay, that's the first island. Doesn't seem too bad here. Oh, that's a good idea. If the drone kills it, does it count towards the flagship buff? Oh, it is shooting at the ships. I'm not quite sure. That's actually a really good question. I need to test it a little more thoroughly, I would say. I do have to say I like how these land tiles are different than the VXP targets. Everything looks a little bit more updated in terms of the graphics, UI, etc. Bam, bam, bam. Matthew, you're reporting back about the 80 target and saying that the flagship took slightly less damage, but took longer to kill the thing. That sounds like what I expect to hear. Come on, drone, what are you doing? Is it a postmodern look? I can't quite tell. Okay, let's try and kill some of these Halo missiles. The things are actually dealing damage to me. You can see these Sentinel turrets are shooting at me, but I'm shooting down all of the incoming missiles from there. It looks like one missile defense system, one ship equipped with 2 missile defense system 3 countermeasure loaders is enough to take down all the damage from those things. I'm going to prioritize targeting these big corrosive stuff if possible. The drone doesn't just slow down outside the aura, it actually deactivates and dies if it's outside the aura. Okay, these ships are triggered. I prefer to engage them where turrets are dead or not at least not shooting at me. Let's get my Zealot buffed up again. That'd be great. Major lag. It's not quite that bad. It's about... I'm still getting 10-ish, 12-ish frames per second. You know, I actually can get a lot higher than that in HTML5, which is really surprising, but... Okay, target. Let's go. Kill him. And my fleet actually isn't 100% finished out either, so... Yeah, look at my ships. They're definitely not stacked up anymore. So Flash player's having issues. I think the drone's a cute gimmick. Yeah, it's definitely a little cute thing. You can see it's just driving on the other side of the target there. Yeah, it's hard to drive through these scatters. And Hefe, if you gotta go to your thing, if y'all don't know, Battle Pirates Crib streams 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. Eastern, Wednesdays and Fridays. I try to be on there. Hefe runs it, does a great job. And they have a show tonight too, so I'll be on there after this, which I might be a little bit late. There's a level 110 target. My thoughts on this are, let's see. I think I like it. It's a good target. Looks like I took a bit more corrosive damage than penetrative. Damage taken was even across all my ships. Notice that. It's pretty important there. That's why you need to evade on all of your ships. I don't quite have evade on everything. I'm going to go over my build. If you want to slow down or anything like that and rewind, you're more than welcome to. The stacking issue is very annoying. I'll just put that out there. I did spend 2 hours of repairing on that thing. And it's a level 110. I think I like this target. It's a pretty good one. It's not bad. Now we're expecting the level 112 to have this one's going to be more complicated, harder to auto. The 110 is the auto target, which I took 2 hours damage on. I'm sure I can get that down to closer to an hour damage with some decent driving. Let's look at the 112. And as soon as this target starts again, I'm going to drive away in the corner and grab another screenshot. Uh-oh. I have to retreat and come back in. I spawned in right on some ships, and that might be a good thing when you're going into the target. I can't quite tell. So let's come in closer to here. Attack this thing. Looks like it's going to be doing some figure 8s in this target. It's going to be what I'm going to end up doing here. Is this zoomed out enough? Not quite. Okay, there's a screenshot. Okay, now let's hit the thing. Okay, the Warward Carrier I'm going to try and kill first because it does spawn these PT boats here. And once I kill this first wave of PT boats, I'm going to stay overloaded and charge directly into a missile field. Whoa, that's definitely not how you want to do this thing. So I'm going to try and kill this thing. Stay out of the missile fields here. There we go. Kind of dangerous. And come on, let's kill the missile field. Get that thing, kill the... Okay, the Warbird Carrier's down. Priority number 2 is the Valkyrie Carriers. I'm going to engage one when it's right next to an Alice Carrier. I'm not sure if that's good or not because I'm being able to kill 2 ships at one time here. But they, again, are both shooting at me. Once that's down, let's kill the next Alice Carrier. I couldn't quite tell if I was taking scattergun damage from any of those ships. Some of them do have very short-range scatterguns actually on the things. Okay, let's try and kill we want to kill this titanium generator so I can kill the turrets more quickly here now than the Halo turrets when possible. And would you look at this, the Venom Spitter's turret is not actually shooting at my ships because I outranged it. It wasn't shooting at the drone either. Matthew, you're asking how I zoomed out? Magic. I hacked into the source code and zoomed out. No, I'm playing on Chrome. I'm on full screen in Chrome, but not on Kixeye's game, which is why you can see this top bar here from Forms. That's the Chrome bar. And I just used the control arrow and either the minus key or the mouse wheel will zoom you out here. So target's going down here, and let's sneak in, kill the Valkyrie. Try to not run directly over this thing, try and sort of outrange this. And you'll be able to kill this one without getting close to get the scatterguns off of it. So you can see I was able to outrange any scatterguns that were on that ship. They didn't fire at all, unlike when I tried it earlier. Let's continue going around the outside of the target here. And if possible, killing titanium generators, any Halo missiles first, because those are the things that should actually be dealing damage to me in this target here. Also, if there are any of these scattergun turrets, you need to make sure you're outranging those if you want to get away with a decent repair time. Looks like I'm only killing about half the thing so far, and my repair time's probably higher than when than the first target, the level 110. Took some corrosive damage there. There's a whole nother Warbird Carrier here. We have to kill that one quick. I hear these have the Kixeye strategy guide says that these ones have a very short range, extremely high damage scattergun on those things. So you definitely want to make sure you're outranging these ones. And they do spawn PT boats, which you should be able to splash kill if you're right next to it. Okay, Valkyrie carrier, let's get out of here. Again, killing the Valkyrie carrier, try to stay at your max range. You can see I'm taking no damage from killing this thing right now. And the missile fields were closing in on me there, so if I didn't kill it, I would have been in trouble. Okay, the venom spitters are shooting at me again. It's difficult to outrange these things. At least for me it is. I'm not sure if anyone else is having much more luck with outranging them. Yeah, you can see I'm outranging this one right here now, but I wasn't outranging anything earlier. My damage output seems to be really nice in these targets, killing a lot of things. We've got 2 more targets left here, so make sure you stay around. Don't go anywhere, including getting the Punisher back out. That should be fun. Both of these targets, I believe, pay out 250,000 points. This is the level 112. The level 110 and 112 pay out 250,000 points each. And this one's actually taken half my fleet. Pay out 250,000 points and give a set bonus of 500,000. So you get 1 million points for hitting the whole level 110, 112 set. And then there's the bonus targets too in terms of the X set with the 508, level 508 and a level 600 target. Okay, battle report. Even damage, corrosive, and penetrative. Very nice. Damage was, pretty much half my fleet. Damage, again, it was consistent across all 5 ships, so that's really important. It means once I get evade on these last 2 ships that don't have it yet, I'm going to do much, much better in the raid. Evade, very important. Remember that. Let's go ahead and repair and hit the top target. I also don't have I don't have a corrosive battery on my ships at all. I'm intending to earn corrosive battery from this raid, get 5 of them, then use my tokens I've saved up to actually equip them to my ships. And that's it's about a 22-hour build time, maybe a 25-hour build time for my ships. So while we find the next target, 508 target, I'll give my thoughts on that one really quickly. Thoughts on the 112. First of all, a lot more painful originally, almost half my fleet. A lot more painful than the other one. A lot worse than the 110 target. I don't like it quite as much, but it might get easier. I hope it will get easier. If not, I'll be a little bit disappointed. Damage didn't seem to be quite too high. Okay, as we go into the 508 target, Vincent, yes, I'm going to be late for the crib. Unfortunately, I mentioned that. Don't worry, Lady Cat said it was fine. I'm grabbing them screenshots for the target. Oh, look at this one. This one's really big. Oh, this is going to be fun. A lot of figure 8s in this one. We've got 1, 2, 3 Valkyrie carriers in here. 1, 2 Warbird carriers at the very back, so they're going to be spitting out PT boats almost the entire time. That's going to be quite the adventure. Surely after all the upgrades, I'd expect something more than a kamikaze drone. Yeah, I guess I would. But I only have 1 ship upgrade to X1, so... Let's start out here by killing the 2 Alice carriers that come at me right off the bat. Looks like I'm able to shoot down. I don't really get overwhelmed in terms of countermeasures by all their weapons here. Alice carrier number 1 is down with almost no damage taken. And here we go. Here's my drone that comes out here. It's just spinning in circles around the Alice carrier. Okay, big deal. And it's doing some basic damage to those things. It's doing some damage to that. Oh, look at that. I outranged the Venom Spitter just by clicking on it. That's great. At least that particular one I did. Okay, the Valkyrie carrier is coming at me, so I'm going to have to... Perfect. The damage didn't quite get me. The missile fire fields didn't get me. That one just about did. Let's try and kill the titanium generator here to avoid most of the damage. Again, this is the challenging target. This is the X set, so this target's not for the faint of heart, or basically means it's probably a lot more damage than it should be. But, you know, I'll be getting it down, hopefully, in terms of damage. And there are a couple tricks you can use. One is try and outrange all the corrosive things. Number 2 is try and target the Halo missiles quickly. You know, try and drive skillfully, stay out of the range of the Valkyrie carrier cannons, which I just did not demonstrate. Try and keep your ships generally stacked up, is what I would say here. There's no real benefit to tanking. And if you do go out of range with all your zealots, you do lose that aura bonus on these things from the built-in whole aura. Try and stay overloaded. Try and kill something every 10 seconds to keep your stacks up. And the PT boats are great for that. And if you can stay moving when the corrosive damage that outranges you is fired at you, that's great and will help you survive longer in this target. Okay, 2 more Atlas carriers coming in at me. My drone actually did some work on those PT cruisers. It's going to one-shot those things if it has a chance to shoot at them. Come on, drone. Yeah. Look at that. He's taking out the PT cruisers. Look at that. Unfortunately, it looks like it does not count toward the overload mechanic. But one drone's actually pretty useful here. I like him. I'm going to keep him. What should we name it? It died, though. I can't have you dying on me. We need you to kill these things. It has to stay in my range or it gets sad. Okay, more PT boats, not TP boats. There we go. Okay, let's kill this warbird carrier. It's been shooting at me for the last, 5 minutes. It's time to get it out of here. Okay, drone, target the warbird carrier. Does it orbit whatever I target? Can I control this thing? Or does it just sort of pick its own thing? I want to get all the other ships up to X1, have 4 drones, and then flagship which buffs everything. That'd be great. Now apparently the warbird has a low range, very high damage scattergun, so you're going to have to avoid that thing too. Okay, half the target's down here. 2 more warbird carriers. There were 4 in this entire target. Well, let's get the Atlas carrier. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, loop around, ignore the Valkyrie carriers, kill the warbird carrier. Try and kill those things early, but they're on the outside of the target, so killing them early, you just kind of have to go around the thing to kill it that way. Okay, I need the Halo missile to stop shooting at me right now, please. Here's the Valkyrie. Probably not best to run over it, like I've been saying, but do as I say, not as I do. There's another warbird. There's the other warbird in this target right here. Is it spitting out things yet? I can't quite tell. Might have an activation range. Might have an activation range of some sort. And again, this is the top level zealot target. This is like the hard thing. It's the difficult one. So if you can do this one, you can definitely do the others. Looks like if you look at the damage taken, my fleet's not doing too great. But, yeah, it's really disappointing right now. But maybe once I get the driving figured out, and once I get my last special or 2 added on to my ships, and hopefully they fix this stacking issue, because you can see my ships are driving around, and I don't even know what. They're just doing circles. They're not staying together. That's the part that bugs me. Okay. Valkyrie's coming at me. The rings are stacked up on top of each other, which is kind of weird. Yeah. The X set target, the X target for last couple raid wasn't actually that bad. In fact, I would say it was very doable. Okay, the Warbird carrier is activated, the last one here, so I'm going to kill this thing. It's got a medium range corrosive weapon as well as a very short range one, I've been told. The very short range I haven't activated yet to my knowledge. Look at that, the PT boats spawned and were killed instantly because of the splash damage I was already doing on that area. That's great. I can't quite kill them in one volley yet. I hope when I get my corrosive battery 2 on all my ships, I'll be able to kill them in one volley. Okay, time to prioritize targeting the Halo missiles, because they're what deal the most damage to me. Looks like all those are down. Now I just have to outrange these corrosive ones, which, as I said, are harder to do than it actually looks like. Oh, my fleet's taking 2/3 damage. Yeah, this is a hard target. Come on. You can't really outrange many things here. You just have to sort of drive and face tank the... Well, there we go. There's a 508 target for you. One more left. Damage taken, mostly corrosive. I think that means my driving needs to improve a lot. Oh, this is really... Yeah, look at that. Hopefully it's almost dead. Not even damaged this time. The last ship, which has significantly more survival, stayed up longer. I'm not going to repair that, but I am going to go ahead and repair my Punishers. Thoughts on the 508 target? It's a lot worse than I expected it to be. I'll have to tell you again when I have the ship, but it seems to be, I guess, a little bit fun. Nothing too punishing. I sort of enjoy the mechanics of this raid. I sort of enjoy driving stacked. Damage, well, it's hard to tell from just one hit, right? The actual damage, if it needs to come down or not. You know, maybe second time hitting this one, I've seen it before. I'll be able to do a lot better than I just did. Let's get my Punishers out, and I want to put a Creeping Death Crew on here to deal more building damage against the 600 target for the Punishers. That's going to be the last one, then I'll hop over on the Crib Show. So as soon as I end this thing after this target, the Crib Show is going to get 75 more viewers. And whoa, 11 people have liked this video. That's great. Okay, here's the Punisher target. I'm gonna grab a screenshot again really quickly and zoom out so you all can just see the whole thing. This looks like it can be a really interesting one. And we need a bigger screenshot. Yeah, this thing's gonna be interesting. Look at that. Look at all those mines in here. Those are a lot of mines, a lot of torpedoes, a lot of torpedo towers too, at least, I guess. So maybe that will make it just a little bit easier. Oh, things have been shooting at me this whole time. Okay, here we go. Oh, this looks kind of difficult. It's a really big target. Matthew, you're asking Missile Defense System 3 countermeasure versus multiform anti-missile. Missile Defense System 3 is far superior, has much more reload. It's going to do a lot better than Missile Defense System 3 will be a lot better than multiform anti-missile. Especially in this raid, because you need a lot of them. Oh boy. There's a lot of mines in these things. This one's going to be really hard to drive. Oh, you're not going to get away on this one without triggering a whole bunch of mines now, are you? You think they need more targets? You mean more things in this target? I hope you're being sarcastic. Okay. Oh, when I kill this building here, a whole bunch of these things are going to move. Oh, they're all moving towards me. It's not what I wanted. Luckily, I have the X1 upgrade on the flag, so I can reduce some damage that way. I see a lot of thumbs up in chat. I like that. How about some of y'all drop some cow emojis or something? Okay. There's only one path you can take on this thing. There's just one path. Try to avoid the mines. Try to avoid the damage. Yeah, you're being a smart ass, sarcastic. That works. Yeah, there are a lot of things in here. There's no really way to do it strategically. Hey, at least there's no flamethrowers in this one. So, if you want to auto this one, go for it. I don't see any flamethrowers. Again, using the tank method. And I guess this target's another chance for us to use our punishers, so just slightly more interesting, slightly longer shelf life of fleets. Because now fleets like the Pegasus, completely obsolete. Dragoon, it was completely obsolete a month ago. Okay, let's kill this last turret here and the last target. Let's go. And there we go. That's level 600 down. 25% damage on the fleet. Let's look at the total repair time and everything else like that. And then we'll have to call it a night. Okay, damage was more radioactive than ballistic. That's a little bit surprising. 1 hour 18 minutes, again with my build shown here. This Punisher target is a lot better than any of the, in terms of point payout, than the Riot target, or not the Riot target, than the Zealot target. So I actually think the level 110 is a very nice target. 100 and, what is it? Let's load up the targets. The 110 is a very nice target. I have no complaints with that one. 112 seems nice, although it was definitely tricky my first hit to get it down to any sort of reasonable damage. The 508, painful. 600, very doable. So I'd stay away from the 508s for just right now, but overall the raid seems very doable, if not too much damage in the 508 target, but that's kind of optional anyway, right? These two targets, bread and butter, seem doable. My partially built Zealot fleet, first look, was actually pretty good. In terms of prizes, obviously there's no new hull or anything, so you just try to get whatever else you're missing. If you want a Gatekeeper, if you need any other ships like that, if you need to finish out your Zealot fleet with some upgrades or upgrade tokens, there are some build and upgrade tokens for the Devout Zealot upgrade tokens and kits in here, so that's great. You can finish out your fleet in this raid, get it sort of ready for the next one. I've seen a lot of thank yous in chat. That's great. Really appreciate that. There's also some Mongoose heavy turrets, which you can use with the... also, stats not mentioned, has a 60-degree firing arc. Deal some rocket damage. It's a new heavy turret you can use or replace some of your more long-range stuff on here. At least... that's the general thought here is 110 to 250 range. Put it on your central island far back. So there's my raid stream. Thank you everyone for joining. I will be releasing more videos throughout the next couple days. More coming later today, so you know where to find my YouTube channel. You know what button to click to make sure that you see all my videos. Thank you everyone for coming out and chat, and I'll see you all over on the Battle Pirates crib momentarily. And as always, this is Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.